My name is Erica Agello, calling to order the June 9th, 2025 City of St. Pete Beach Code Enforcement Special Magistrate hearing. My name is Erica Agello, and I am the appointed Special Magistrate to hear today's cases. I am a practicing attorney licensed by the Florida Bar and board certified in city, county, and local government law. I have been appointed to this position in accordance with the authority set forth in Chapter 162 Florida Statutes and the City of St. Pete Beach Code of Ordinances. I am not an employee of the City of St. Pete Beach and do not represent the city here today, and I do not confer with the city's code enforcement officers outside of the hearing process about your cases. It is my role to fairly and objectively review the matters presented. As such, I would like to advise you of certain matters related to today's proceedings. Today's matters will be heard in the order on which they appear on the agenda unless otherwise agreed. Every effort will be made to hear all persons having relevant evidence, arguments, or comments related to the specific case that is being heard. If you wish to speak today, it is necessary that you be sworn in, which I will do momentarily. All testimony given will be done so under oath. In all cases, since the city has the burden of proof, the city will present its case first. The respondent will then be given an opportunity to refute the city's allegations. Formal rules of evidence do not apply to this proceeding. However, I will make sure every effort to ensure that fundamental fairness and due process is afforded to all parties. After hearing all relevant evidence, I will issue an order. The order will be reduced to writing and all parties will be provided with a copy. So please ensure that we have your current address or email address. Additionally, you are advised that I do not have the authority to grant you a variance, permit, or special exception of any kind. My role is solely to determine whether a city code has been violated and under some circumstances to provide a reasonable time to correct the violation by whatever means are available to you. Please be advised that you may be subject to a fine and a lien may be recorded on your property if the violation is not corrected by the compliance deadline, if one is provided. If you wish to present any evidence today, please sign in at the podium before you speak, and it will be necessary that you swear or affirm to tell the truth. Therefore, at this time, I will swear in any witnesses. Anyone wishing to speak today, please stand and raise your right hand to be sworn in. Do you swear or affirm that the testimony you are about to give is the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth?
Yes.
So sworn. All right, are there any changes to the agenda this morning, Mr. Dewar?
Good morning, Madam Special Magistrate Pete Dewar. On behalf of the City of St. Pete Beach, there are no changes to the agenda. Thank you.
Okay. Moving on to the first agenda item then, case 3A, case number 20240529, City of St. Pete Beach versus Richard Allen Long, revocable trust.
Good morning, Special Magistrate. Ayaka Roktashel, representing the City of St. Pete Beach Code Enforcement. This is a status hearing to determine the compliance and to assess any authorized fines and costs. I do have the building official here with me that can give you the current update on the status of the permit.
Certainly.
Luke Curtis, building official for the City of St. Pete Beach. So revisions have been submitted to the permit, but have not been reviewed yet, so there's no determination on whether it's approvable.
Okay.
That's where it stands right now.
Okay, so it's the permit is currently with the city, has not received review yet. Do you have any estimated time frame on when that might be?
I'm sorry, I found out about an hour ago that my presence was requested, and I didn't look. I can pull that up real quick if you want to see that.
That's okay. I just was trying to get an idea. Do you think an additional 30 days to come back and check again would be sufficient enough, or do you think
we'll have the review done before 30 days?
Okay.
So.
Okay. And is anyone here on behalf of the respondent?
Hi.
Hi, good morning again. Okay, and so you understand at this point, we're just here for a status check. So you had submitted the permits prior to our last hearing, correct?
Yes, 2 times.
Okay, and so the revisions were submitted, you've got all your contractors, everything is going, and you're no longer operating on the outside patio or anything like that, correct?
Yes, the behind patio has still been shut down. I have
Okay.
not operated or anything like that. I'm still in the same status I was the last time I was.
Okay. Anything further from the city? Sorry.
So as of today, you know, the property is still non-compliant as far as achieving approval of the permit. So we are seeking fines, $250 a day from the date of the notice of violation, that was March 3rd,
Okay,
and
so
administrative costs.
does the respondent want to respond to that at all?
Yes, I definitely don't think that's fair. I've complied and I've done everything that I was asked to do, and I've done it in a timely fashion of this court and what you guys have asked me to have it in. You know, it's kind of just weird because I'm the one who's supposed to be on the 4th of July. I was hired by the city to do the event, and it's kind of holding me up to kind of dealing with this permit stuff, and it's almost, I mean, the last 9 months have been difficult for the businesses on this beach already, you know. I've already lost 30 to 40% of business with the lack of season. I don't even open up during the day. I have now lost the seating in the back of my restaurant where people, families of 5 or 6, can't sit back there, even eat and enjoy my food. And now I have complied and I've done everything they've asked me to do, and it's just tying my hands behind my back to run my business, so.
Understood. Okay. At this point, I am not going to impose any fines or any fees. The respondent did submit in the revisions as per my order. I am not certainly going to punish the respondent because the city's review hasn't taken place yet. So at this point, I am going to go ahead and have another status check. We'll continue this until next month's hearing, which I believe is on July, I don't have my calendar. 14th, thank you. So we will, I'll get an additional order out, but we will meet back here on July 14th and see where we are in the process.
Okay.
And I will make sure I get you a copy of that order.
Thank you, ma'am.
Okay, thank
How do I
you.
get that? The copy of the order?
Once I draft it, I'll have it. I believe I have your email address
Yes, can it be emailed to me and the owner of the property?
and Mr. Long.
Yes, please.
Yep, I'll go ahead and send it to both.
I'm sorry? Yes, ma'am.
Yeah, that's what you're trying to do. They'll send it to you. Okay? Good, how are you? We're good.
Okay. Moving on to case 3B, case number 20250014, City of St. Pete Beach versus Stephen Parks.
Good morning, Special Magistrate. Louis Cruz representing the City of St. Pete Beach Code Enforcement. This is a status hearing to determine if the property has come into compliance from the debris and trash and different type of things that were strewn on the property. Owner of the property has not reached out to me, but I did go by this morning and take some additional pictures, and I would like to show them. If you could put the overhead on for me, please. It looks like they did clear the bags of debris that they did have in the driveway there, but there is still trash and debris scattered throughout the property.
Louis, is there anything specific in those pictures that you're showing that we need to be focused on?
Yes, on the property here, looks like they have just different debris. This looks like skirting underneath of maybe a planter bed. There's concrete rubble and debris that's left in the lawn in the front yard, along with palm fronds and things of that nature. As you can see here, there are dead vegetation scattered in the front on the edge here on the right side of the property, as well as rubble and different type of concrete pieces throughout the whole frontage. This is back more towards the side of the driveway there on the right side. Just different type of construction rubble that's left in the grassy area there. And it wasn't part of my case, but the property is starting to get overgrown. And just different type of rubble and debris. It looks like they were doing some type of cleaning process at some point, but there was no one there for me to talk to, and the owner has not reached out.
Okay, so as far as the city is concerned, at this point, the property is not in compliance?
No, ma'am.
Okay.
Are those pictures a true and
These
accurate?
are, yes, sir. These are a true and accurate representation of what I have witnessed.
And those are from this morning?
Yes, ma'am. And just one more additional photo, just so that we can see the property and what it looks like as of this morning. at 9:26 a.m. The city will be asking for the previous recommended fine of $250 per day, starting 4/22/2025 until compliant, plus $329 for administrative costs and any lien recording fees associated with this case.
Okay. Anyone here on behalf of the respondent? Mr. Parks? Anyone here on behalf of Mr. Parks, or is Mr. Stephen Parks here? Okay, Mr. Cruz, you said you had not had any contact with him, correct?
No, unfortunately not. I have not.
Okay, it does look like they attempted to clean up the property. I am going to find that the property still remains non-compliant, however, and I will issue a $250 a day fine. However, I'm going to do it from today's date until they are compliant, as they had made a good faith effort to clean up the property. So $250 a day starting today, running until the property is compliant. I will go ahead and assess the $329 administrative fees and the recording fee should one be required.
Thank you.
Okay, moving on to the next case, which is 3C, case number 2024-0539, City of St. Pete Beach versus Thomas Simmons.
Good morning, Madam Magistrate. Stephen Rivera on behalf of the City of St. Pete Beach Code Enforcement. This is a status hearing for unpermitted repairs that was done at 103rd Ave here in St. Pete Beach. We'd like to continue this to July. The permit is in review, so that the respondent has been doing what he needs to do to come into compliance. It's currently in review, and it should be done by the July magistrate hearing.
Okay. Anyone here on behalf of the respondent? Okay. I will go ahead and grant the continuance until the July 14th Code Enforcement Magistrate hearing, and I will get a written order to that effect.
Thank you.
All right, and moving on to case 3D, case number 2025-0084, City of St. Pete Beach versus Linda Dix and the Dix Family Trust.
Good morning, Madam Magistrate. Stephen Rivera again on behalf of the City of St. Pete Beach Code Enforcement. This is a status hearing for the compliance to address the palm fronds, overgrown vegetation. The property is compliant. I'm going to put some photos up here on the overhead. It shows the vegetation was cut back. This is on the Gulfway side. There were a couple of pond fronds the day of my inspection, but that was only because we had an afternoon storm come through. And I did talk to the respondent. He said he was going to send somebody out to clean them up. But it's much cleaner than it was the last time. Yeah, like I said, it's one or two pond fronds here and there, but I had to wait for the rain to stop to go out and take my picture,
Okay.
so.
Are those pictures true and accurate?
They are true and accurate representation of what I witnessed. Because they came into compliance by the compliance that you gave them, we're just asking for administrative costs of $330.
Okay. Anyone here on behalf of the respondent? If you just could please state your name and any response you might have.
My name is Jennifer Berg, and I am here on behalf of my mother and the trust. And yeah, I mean, we got it up to compliance. I'm actually going over there this afternoon, so I'd be happy to pick up any palm fronds that are still in the yard again from the most recent storm.
Okay, and so you understand since you're coming into compliance, no fines will be assessed, but the city is asking for the $330 in administrative fine.
I got that. No problem. Thank you very much. I appreciate it.
All right, not a problem. Okay. With that, I will find that the property is now in compliance, and I'm not going to impose any fines or fees, but I will assess the $330 in reasonable administrative costs of the city.
Okay. And where do I go to pay that? Thank you.
Moving right along. All right, case 3E, case number 2025-0212, City of St. Pete Beach versus Horatio Heck and Sheila Burke.
Morning. Steve Rivera again on behalf of the City of St. Pete Beach Code Enforcement. This was a status hearing for compliance of cleaning up the debris, fixing the fence at the property 3207 South the Basin. These photos are true and accurate representation of what I witnessed. This is the right-of-way that had all the debris in it, storm debris, that's been cleaned up. It's a picture of the driveway all cleaned up now. And there's a picture of the fence that's been repaired. I did speak to the property owner. He failed to update his address and property appraiser. But he called me the day of the hearing. His neighbor called him to tell him that there was a notice on the door. So he got everything cleaned up that weekend. Based on him coming in compliance, I'm not asking for fines, just administrative costs.
And how? $330. Okay. Anyone here on behalf of the respondents? Anyone here on behalf of Mr. Heck or Ms. Burke? Seeing no one, okay.
I spoke to him. He said he wasn't going to be, he was going back up north.
Okay.
He just wanted to make sure that the property was compliant before leaving. So, yeah, but he's good to go.
All right, so I will find that the property is now in compliance with my order, and I'm not going to impose any fines, but I will assess the $330 in reasonable administrative costs of the city.
Thank you.
All right, moving on to case 3F, case number 2025-0035, City of St. Pete Beach versus Lydia Castle.
Steve Rivera, on behalf of City of St. Pete Beach Code Enforcement. And PowerPoint, please, thank you. This this case was continued. Ms. Castle couldn't make the last hearing, so we continue. So I'm going to present the case today.
Okay.
Okay. Case number 2025-0035, respondent Lydia S. Castle. Violation address, 3111 South DeBasin Ave. Violation description, the property is in violation of section 4633, 2, 3, 4A, and 9, enumeration. 9864A, general maintenance. 9865-4, unsightly condition. 9866A, B, 18, 22, and 24, residential and commercial property maintenance of the Code of Ordinance of the City of St. Pete Beach. Case summary, initial inspection was 1/10/2025. Notice of violation dated 1/15/2025. Notice of violation compliance date 2/6/2025. Notice of hearing dated and posted to the property 4/28/2025. The following is a true and accurate representation of what I witnessed. This is the affidavit of posting at 3111 South DeBasin Ave. There's a picture here of the fallen tree that was on the property and some palm fronds. This is the propane storage tank that's on its side and the fence wall that fell in front of it. And then a picture of the fence and the palm fronds down there at the lower half of the photo. There's a picture of the fronds by the pool. Lower part of the photo, you can see there's more frond, or the same fronds in the fence that was in that last photo. This was the fence, the old fence that they took down. They had it stacked up on the property. There's some cinder blocks on the property there. Another picture of the stacked up fence. This was a follow-up photo. The tree was still in the front yard there. You got some sandbags off to the top right there. Corrective action. Property must clean up the fallen tree and dispose fallen trees and dispose of them properly. The fencing materials must be removed. The fence wall must be repaired or removed. The pool must be maintained, and the sandbags must be removed from public view. Property is not compliant. Recommended fine is $250 a day, starting 4/1/2025 until compliant, plus $330 for administrative costs and any lien recording fees that may be associated with this case.
And Mr. Rivera, there is the violation for the pool. I didn't see any photographs of the pool.
Yeah, and it was in the backyard, so I didn't go back there, but I did speak to someone from the property that said that they were going to have the pool emptied. I didn't see any water from my point of view, so I just put it in there that it needs to be maintained if they're going to keep it. I can't see if there's water in the pool or not. But I know there's no power at the property, so I don't know how the pumps are being ran for the pool
Okay,
pump.
so at this point, you don't know if there's actually a violation for the pool because you
That's
couldn't
correct.
tell if there was water in it
No,
or...
Again, looking at it from my point of view, without crossing the planes that I'm allowed to cross,
Right.
I can't verify it. I saw water in there on my first visit.
Okay.
I didn't see water in it on my second visit, so I don't know if they just lowered it or if they actually had the pool pumped out.
Okay. And have you had an opportunity to talk to the property owner at all?
I have. I don't know if she's here or not. I don't think she's here. So she couldn't make the last hearing for a doctor's appointment. She had to go to New York. The property's not compliant, and I know she's in the process of selling. Her house was destroyed. I do have pictures of what the property looks like now. It's still in violation, and these were pretty recent. These were June 4th, but there has been some progress. This is where those piles of fence were stacked up in the yard. This is where the tree was in the front yard. However, there's still the outdoor storage of the sandbags and the cinder blocks there. There's the fence wall that's still in disrepair over by the propane tank. And it's just another photo of the cinder blocks and the sandbags.
And is that her propane tank?
Yes.
And
I
had
think
that
they
been
were
remedied?
used- No, it's still sitting on its side. I'm wondering if it's used for the pool, maybe.
Okay, like a
but
heating system?
Yeah. But I spoke to her right before the last hearing. She wasn't going to be here. She was going to New York to see a specialist. I haven't heard from her since.
Okay,
Someone's been there to work on the property, but it's still not in compliance.
still not in compliance, okay. So the things that are still outstanding are the sandbags, the cinder blocks, the crumbled fence wall, maybe the pool, and then the propane tank, is that needing to be righted, or does that need to be contended with?
I would say it needs to be addressed, but I didn't see anything in our code that specifically says,
Okay,
more so disrepair. That's the only thing I would probably classify it under.
okay. Okay, and is anyone here on behalf of the property owner? Anyone here on behalf of Ms. Lydia Castle, or is Ms. Lydia Castle here? Okay. With that, I am going to find that the property is in violation of the stated code sections. I am going to give, let's see, today is the 9th, so 30 days would allow us for July. So 30 days from the date of my order for the remaining issues to be cleared. That will be the sandbag cinder blocks, the crumbled fence wall, and I am going to put on there to repair or replace the propane tank, or however we need to contend with the maintenance of the propane tank. And we can address that in July if need be, and then give her until 30 days from the date of my order, and we will reconvene on the July 14th date to assess whether or not we need to impose fines or the property has come into compliance. I am not going to address the pool just because I don't have any evidence that it was
That's
otherwise
fair.
in violation at the outset.
Madam Special Magistrate, Pete Dewar, Code Enforcement. I understand that you're not going to address the pool, but Mr. Rivera, Officer Rivera, did testify that the pool was empty. I'm wondering if we could, in fact, include the pool in your order, because it is considered a safety hazard at this point, which is a violation of our code, whether it's empty or not.
I will say, Mr. Dewar, I appreciate the effort, but I don't have enough evidence. I have some evidence from Mr. Rivera stating that the first time he was there, he thinks he saw water in the pool. The second time, he doesn't know if it was empty or if it was just lowered. So I don't feel comfortable finding that there's enough sufficient evidence to warrant there being a violation. I can put in my order that the pool should be addressed if there's anything outstanding, but I'm not finding a particular violation for that, just so the property owner is aware.
Thank you, ma'am.
Okay. And then moving on to repeat violations, case 4A, Case number 2025024, City of St. Pete Beach versus Babette Simon.
Thank you, Madam Magistrate. Stephen Rivera again on behalf of the City of St. Pete Beach. Case number 2025024, respondent Babette Simon. Violation address is 305 Gulf Way. Violation description, the property is in violation of section 44.5A1, 2, B1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, and 7, standards for existing beachfront lighting of the Code of Ordinance of the City of St. Pete Beach. Case summary, initial inspection was 5/9/2025. Notice of repeat violation dated 5/20/2025. Notice of hearing dated and posted to the property 5/20/2025. The following is a true and accurate representation of what I witnessed. This is the affidavit of posting at 305 Gulf Way. This is pictures of the lights that were in violation at 305 Gulf Way. Corrective action, property must turn off lights, shield lights, or replace the light bulbs to be turtle light compliant between the dates of May 1st through October 31st. Property is actually compliant now. I did a re-inspection on the 4th, so I do have photos to show the compliance. Recommended fine is $500 a day starting 5/9/2025 until compliant, plus $330 for administrative costs and any lien recording fees that may be associated with this case. I want to present the photos of it showing that it's in compliance. The overhead, please. So there's the picture of the property there. Another photo a little further back. It shows the lights look like they were turned off. And that concludes my presentation.
Okay, and have you had any conversations with the property owner, spoken with the property owner at all?
Not since last year
Last
when
time.
we had the similar violation.
Okay, and last year, my understanding is when the property came into compliance, again, it was they turned off the lights and they just
They
didn't.
turned off the lights and we didn't impose any fines. We just asked for administrative
costs.
costs. We just wanted to put on record.
Right, but at this point, that hasn't ceased, the lights have not been changed, they just turned them off.
They turned them off this time. Yeah, I don't know. I'm guessing that's what the remedy was. We've been out doing periodic inspections. On June 4th is when I did a follow-up inspection and the lights were compliant. That
Okay.
property was compliant.
Okay. Anyone here on behalf of Ms. Simon? Babette Simon? If you could all please just state your name for the record.
Babette Simon.
Okay, and Ms. Simon, can you explain to me kind of what's going on and what you've done to remedy the property?
To have my
Okay.
friend here explain it, he knows better.
And if you could state your name for the record.
My
as
name
well.
is Thomas Simmons, reside at 103rd Avenue. I'm her neighbor. To go back to all this, she doesn't really remember a lot of things that are happening right now. And so when she's gotten these notices, none of us know about it. Since recently, we've taken all this into hand and gotten a notice, but there are some things about her lighting especially. I do recall she was giving me some light bulbs to put into her property. I guess code enforcement dropped a by to her, some light bulbs that were going to be
We
compliant.
purchased them.
Well, no, they purchased some first. We had to buy some others. Okay.
Yeah.
But, so we got those in. Now, to state the lights were might have been turned off or turned on at any particular time, they're on a timer. I installed this timer years ago, and these lights go off at sundown. I mean, go on at sundown and go up, come back off at sunrise. And so we're not switching any lights on or off. Now, she did not tell anyone about these notices. I think she's even signed for things that she doesn't even remember this kind of stuff about it. Okay, so she's not an offender type person. Okay, but she really doesn't know what's going on. Okay, and so I've been on top of that since we know what's going on now. I'm intercepting the mail and we're getting this taken care of. I don't think she should be charged any administrative fees, only because She really doesn't know what's going on. You know, and now that we're aware of it, it'll never happen again. We're going to take care of anything that needs to be taken care of, but right now she's clueless about it.
Yeah, and I can understand that. I will say that, you know, this is the second time this has happened. So let me ask a question. You said the light bulbs are now the turtle compliant light bulbs. So even if
Yeah.
the timer goes on, the lights are compliant with.
Yep. And so June 4th, unless there's a power outage, those lights were on.
Been on.
Okay, and it does it every day. Last night I went out and took a picture from the beach. I didn't know about the little card thing that they use, but I took pictures from the beach, and I couldn't even see the lower level lights from the beach. If you took pictures now and they're showing they're compliant, they're on. So
And do you know what day you replaced the light bulbs to make them compliant?
that had to be, what is it? It's been a while back. She called me and said that there's some light bulbs the city wanted her to put in, and I put them up immediately.
Okay.
There's some at the front, and there's some on the side of the house, which have these evening to dusk to morning, whatever lights that go on and off, motion sensors. So I replaced those bulbs, the ones up front. The ones up front, 2 of them were didn't work that they gave. So I went and ordered some online. I didn't know if I'd ordered the right things or not since I don't know about the color thing about it, but obviously they work because he's saying we're in compliance.
Okay.
But they haven't been going on or off at all.
Okay.
And so when we got this notice that they were not compliant, she's done nothing since from the first time where you guys said she's good until now. She's done nothing. I've done nothing on the property. So nothing's changed. I don't know why she's a repeat offender again and now not.
Because the last time the property came into compliance by the lights not being on, and so the issue is.
Lights are always on though.
Yeah, but the issue is clearly not, because I've seen photographs where the lights are not on. So the issue becomes when the city inspects, if it's finding that it's not in compliance, it's up to the property owner to make sure the property is in compliance.
I
And
get
then
that. I get
when the property owner brings the property in compliance, to notify the city so that.
Once again, however.
Yeah, and I understand there were the notices were getting to her, she was signing.
No. I say the lights though. She has no control over the lights. The lights go on and off with the timer. So you guys keep saying they're off. This is not the case. If that's the case, maybe unless there's a power shortage or something, these lights come on and off without her having anything to do with it. Okay, and every evening I go by her house every evening to make sure her lights are on. She likes lights on the outside. She can't see very well out there, so I make sure lights are on. So every evening after dinner, which we have dinner together, I make sure those lights come on in the front and the back, and they're on every time. Now I do not sleep on that one.
Well, and I appreciate that. What I'm saying is there was a picture that was presented to me today where the lights are off, and that means the property's in compliance. So whether or not the turtle lights are compliant, you probably should verify with the city about that in case so this
Okay, the
doesn't happen.
pictures I took last night from the beach, if you're standing at the coastline, you cannot see the lower level lights, so it'll look like they're off. You cannot see the lights.
So maybe that was the thing with the picture. Either
Yes.
way, I'm finding that the property is now in compliance.
Okay.
It's just, I'm trying to get some information on when it came into compliance and some of the background of it so that I can either choose to assess the fine or the fees or whatnot based on the testimony
Okay,
that you're
and that's
presenting.
basically up to you guys, because see, we do nothing different. It's on, off every day. It doesn't change. She doesn't do anything. If you guys say something's changed, it could have. So that's my point. Nothing can change. I'm very good about the lighting around her place.
Okay, just making sure that it's turtle lighting, because if it is going on and off and the city sees that
no,
it's not turtle
it goes
lighting, then.
on at sundown, and it goes off in the morning, but it's the yellow lights, whatever color they gave her. So.
Okay. Okay, anything else that you'd like to say on behalf of Ms. Simon?
Just thank you.
Okay, well, I appreciate
I
that.
appreciate it.
Of course. And if you don't have anything else, you guys can be seated, and then the city gets the last right of discussion, so.
Worse. All right. Thank you.
Okay.
Of course. Anything else from the city, Mr. Rivera?
No, ma'am. Just looking at the pictures there, he said something about the lights may be motion. So I don't know if that's what kicked on the lights at the time of the inspection.
On the side of the building.
And those were the main violators,
Like the
ones at the
security
lower-
lights are the ones on the
Right.
side? Those are the ones that were in violation that needed to be.
those are the primary ones. Yeah, the lower ones, they were part of the original inspection. When I did the follow-up inspection, I don't know if they're shielded now. They didn't.
They would probably, like you said, their motion sensor. I'm talking.
Yeah, they weren't on, they didn't show up in the photos. And
So the ones that are on the timer, if they showed up on the photos, they were otherwise compliant. The ones on the sides that are motion detected,
those were clear violations.
those need to be.
But she put it in the light. Did you bring her the light bulbs?
I did not know.
She said someone brought her light bulbs. You guys do that?
No, sir.
It's a very great service from the city if you do.
Someone brought her Okay, and we put them on the side as well, so maybe they're not the right lights as far as that goes.
Okay. Well, I'm going to ask that you verify that they are. I'm going to ask that you verify that they are turtle compliant lights, just because I want to make sure we don't end up back here again for a future violation. I am going to find that the property is in violation just based on the information that I've been given. I was here for the first case, understanding the situation. I am not going to, based on the credible testimony of Mr. Simmons, I am not going to assess a daily running fine. However, I am going to assess the $330 in administrative costs and a recording fee should one be required, with this caveat. This is technically a repeat violation. Now that we have the information that you are getting the notifications and Ms. Simons, you have someone to help you out, if you come here again, I will not be so lenient, and there will be an assessed fine with this, because technically a repeat violation means I should just be issuing a fine. But again, based on your credible testimony about her needing some help and not really understanding what's going on, now that she has the help, I hope to not see you back here again.
You as well.
Yep. And I will make sure I get you the written order on that. Okay, moving on to agenda item 5A, case number 20250056, City of St. Pete Beach versus 5411 Pally Way Land Trust. Christopher McMillan as trustee.
Thank you, Madam Magistrate. Louis Cruz representing the City of St. Pete Beach Code Enforcement. This is Code Enforcement Case Number 2025-0056. Respondent is 5411 Pally Way Land Trust, and Christopher McMillan, trustee. Violation address, 5411 Pally Way. Violation description, the property is in violation of Section 46-33 enumeration 2, 4A, and 9, 9864, general maintenance, A, 98-65 unsightly conditions, 1, A and B, 3 and 4, 98-66 residential and commercial property maintenance, A, B, 3A, 11, 14, 18, 24, C, 2, and 3 of the Code of Ordinances of the City of St. Pete Beach. Case summary, the initial inspection was 1/11/2025. Notice of violation dated 4/16/2025. Notice of violation compliance date 4/30/2025. Notices of hearing dated and posted on the property 5/6/2025. These are a true and accurate representation of what I have witnessed. This is the affidavit of posting at 5411 Pally Way, May 6th, 2025. On the property, as you can see there is a broken window that is on the Pally Way side of the property. Another window that is broken, which looks to be from the storm, on the Pally Way side of the property. And if you can look there's a lot of debris that looks like to have washed up, whether it be dead leaves, dead vegetation, looks like a dock piling there, planters, things of that nature, dead palm fronds. Just a different shot there of the debris in the driveway on the property. Just a different shot as well of the debris that is sitting in the driveway on the property. And it's a mixture of the palm fronds and some broken up debris from the storm. In the corner here, this is on a piece of the driveway as well. It's a big driveway that comes out to 55th Avenue. That is dead vegetation there to the left on the property, as well as looks to be a wagon. And a broken fence and debris on the side of the property, which is the Pally Way side of the property. Just a different shot of that dead vegetation there on the side, on the 55th Avenue side of the property. This is the back side of the property. Looks to be the dock that washed up on the back of the property there. There is different types of debris, whether it be wood. It's a broken aluminum cage that they had around the pool. And the pool does have stagnant water in there as well that has not been addressed. The roof blew off of that enclosed lanai there on the back side, as well as debris, palm fronds, trash. Different shot of the lanai. Some of it's still intact, but the main portion that covers the pool is broken. Corrective action: property must clean up all trash and debris from the property, fix or replace the lanai that is in disrepair, clean and fix the swimming pool left in disrepair, and fix or replace the 2 broken windows on the home. If the lanai and the windows are replaced by the homeowner, a permit must be obtained. Property is not compliant. Recommended fine is $250 per day, starting 5/1/2025 until compliant, plus $329 for administrative costs and any lien recording fees that may be associated with this case. And that concludes my presentation. Thank you.
Have you had any communications with the property owner?
Unfortunately not. I talked to him previously about other violations on the property, I think a year or 2 ago, but since then I have not had no communication, and he has not reached out.
Okay, thank you. Anyone here on behalf of the Palliway Land Trust or Christopher McMillan? Anyone here on behalf of the 5411 Palliway Land Trust, or anyone here on behalf of Mr. Christopher McMillan? Okay, seeing no one. I am going to find that the property is in violation of the stated code sections. I am going to allow from, I'm going to go 30 days from the date of the order to apply for any permits should they need to either remove or replace the lanai, windows, etc., and then to remove all other debris on the property, including repairing the fence, etc. On that fence repair, does that need a permit as well?
If it was just that portion that I shown there in the picture, which is the only pieces of the fence that I saw broken, you wouldn't need to for something that small. You could just put them back
But
up
if they
around
would
the
like
top.
to replace the fence or whatnot, okay.
Yes, ma'am.
So I'm going to do 30 days from the date of my order to secure a permit for any repair work that is subject to a permit, and then to otherwise clear all the debris, repair the fence, remove the lanai, etc. And then we will come back here on July 14th to determine if that's been done, where we are with that, and if we need to impose any fines or fees.
Thank you.
All right, moving on to 5B, case number 2025-0223, City of St. Pete Beach versus Kathleen Johnson.
Thank you, Special Magistrate. Louis Cruz representing the City of St. Pete Beach Code Enforcement. This is Code Enforcement case number 2025-0223. The respondent is Kathleen M. Johnson. Violation address is 620 64th Avenue. Violation description: the property is in violation of Section 46-33, enumeration 2, 12, and 13, 98-67 junk vehicle, junk vessels, and abandoned property E, 98-65 unsightly conditions 2 and 4, 98-66 residential and commercial property maintenance C, 2, and 3 of the Code of Ordinances of the City of St. Pete Beach. Case summary: the initial inspection was 4/11/2025. Notice of violation dated 4/17/2025. Notice of violation compliance date 5/4/2025. Notices of hearing dated and posted on the property 5/14/2025. These are a true and accurate representation of what I have witnessed. This is the affidavit of posting on the property, being 620 64th Avenue, May 14th, 2025. These pictures here are going to show you that there's trash and debris on the property as well as in the right-of-way of the property. Looks to be obviously furniture, anything that might have been destroyed during the hurricanes. Different shot there. They do have it on the left and the right side of the property in the right-of-way. Just a different shot of a holistic view of the debris from the inside of the property, whether that be furniture, different kinds of debris, maybe some drywall, some pieces of wood, studs, things of that nature. They also have a trailer, a boat trailer on the property as well that is unregistered and looks to be in an inoperable condition. Corrective action, property must clean up all trash and debris from the property. Also, the property must register the boat trailer or remove the boat trailer from the property. The property is not compliant. Recommended fine is $250 per day, starting 5/5/2025 until compliant, plus $329 for administrative costs and any lien recording fees that may be associated with this case. And that concludes my presentation. Thank you.
Any communication with the property owner on this one?
No, I have not. As you know, we went around a lot during all these devastating hurricanes, so I was out there quite a bit. It looks like whoever came there, I did not make any contact with the homeowner. They put the stuff out there to the curb after the city kind of had our due date for our company that we hired, our third-party company that was doing the debris pickup. They had finished, and then they put that out there, so maybe they were assuming the city was going to pick it up. Obviously, we were kind of done at that point, so we're kind of at the point we're at right now.
Understood. Okay. Anyone here on behalf of Kathleen Johnson, or is Kathleen Johnson here? Anyone here for Kathleen Johnson, or is Ms. Johnson here? Okay, seeing no one, I am going to find that there is a violation of the stated code sections. I am going to allow for 30 days from the date of my order for the trash and debris to be removed from the property in the right-of-way, and to have the boat trailer either registered or removed from the property. And then we will be back here on July 14th to see if that has been completed. I do have a question for the city. With hurricane season now afoot, is the city looking to do any type of abatement procedures on the debris that's been sitting out there? Just for my edification,
Yeah.
we could put that in an order if we needed to, but I don't think you guys.
It's something that...
We have discussed abatement, including, and in fact, adopted a new ordinance to nuisance properties that we observe and investigate. We'll come back to you,
Okay.
hopefully, for an abatement process
Okay.
to start.
Yeah, I just was wondering, because it looks like there are quite a few of these properties, and now we're sitting here with,
Right.
hopefully not a busy hurricane season, but you
Right.
never know. Okay.
Yeah, once we did the ordinance, this notice of violation already went out, and we got to the
Okay.
point that we're at. And now that we have that in fruition, obviously, we'll proceed as such.
All right, sounds good. Thank you, guys. Appreciate that. All right, moving on to 5C, case number 202500064, City of St. Pete Beach versus Kenneth Donovan and Wilma Donovan. Mr. Cruz?
Thank you, Madam Magistrate. Louis Cruz, representing the City of St. Pete Beach Code Enforcement. Code Enforcement case number 2025-0064. The respondent is Kenneth Frederick Donovan and Wilma Ann Donovan. Violation address is 820 59th Avenue. Violation description: the property is in violation of Section 46-33 enumeration 2, 12, and 13, 23.11 parking, construction, and design requirements A1, 23.2 residential parking restricted A2A, 98-65 unsightly conditions 1A, B, and 4, 98-66 residential and commercial property maintenance A, B, 24, C, 2, 3, and E of the Land Development Code and the Code of Ordinances of the City of St. Pete Beach. Case summary: the initial inspection was done 1/11/2025. Notice of violation dated 4/17/2025. Notice of violation compliance date 5/4/2025. Notices of hearing dated and posted on the property 5/14/2025. These are a true and accurate representation of what I have witnessed. This is the affidavit of posting at the bottom address there of 820 59th Avenue on May 14th, 2025. On the property here, this is the front of the property. On the driveway, he has different types of debris, whether that be pieces of wood, looks to be a wagon there, trash cans, tarped up motorcycle that most likely is unregistered. It looks like it's been sitting there for quite some time. Right there, you can see the broken fence in the back part of the picture there, as well as the dolly, different types of debris, whether it be wood, plastic, trash, stuff of that nature. And this looks to be like possibly an inoperable lawnmower, different bikes being stored out there. Looks to be a jack to lift whatever it may be to work on something, as well as gasoline tanks being stored outside there as well. Just a different picture. He does have a wheel off of what I think is to be on that lawnmower, and tools, as well as different equipment. Just a little bit more of a holistic shot of the things in the driveway there. This is a bus that possibly is a converted RV. Not 100% sure. That most likely is unregistered or inoperable. It's been sitting there for quite some time and parked in an illegal manner on a residential property. Just a different shot of the bus there on the property. Corrective action. Property must clean up all trash and debris from the property, fix the broken fence, remove all outside storage of materials and equipment, register the motorcycle and bring it into an inoperable condition or remove it, and have the bus or RV removed or install a driveway. If the property is allowed to install a second driveway on their property, they must obtain the proper permit. Property is not compliant. Recommended fine is $250 per day, starting 5/5/2025, until compliant, plus $329 for administrative costs, and any lien recording fees that may be associated with this case.
So, Mr. Cruz, I have a question. The
Yes, ma'am.
first section, 23.11, parking, construction, and design requirements, that violation, is that with regard to the RV or bus in the event that they want to put in a driveway?
Yes.
Okay, but at this point, they're not in violation with the material for their actual driveway. They're more in violation for the fact that there's a vehicle parked on an area that is not a driveway.
Yes, on an unimproved area. Yes, ma'am.
Okay. Okay. And is anyone here on behalf of the property owner? Okay, if you could please come up here and state your name for the record, and then you may respond to the city's allegations.
I'm Ken Donovan, I own the property, and as usual, the city's after my ass. The motorcycle is registered, been registered. The RV is registered, been registered. The RV is sitting on an approved surface because it was inspected and put in, and the inspector was Larry Schneider, who was the building inspector at the time. It met all the compliances at the time. They even decided that it was completely on the side of the house as opposed to the front of the house. And the stuff that's outside is what I'm repairing the stuff that the hurricane broke, and I have a table behind the motorcycle so that it can't be seen from the street, and I do my work back there one at a time. The fence, it's almost back together. I only have about an hour a day to work.
Okay. And so you said that
And I guarantee you another thing, that they did not check to see the tags were on the vehicles.
No, he said he assumed it was unregistered because he was not going onto your property to lift stuff up to see if they were registered. So your testimony here today is that the motorcycle and the RV are in fact registered.
Correct.
I have questions about the RV that's sitting there. It's on a padded, like on a concrete pad surface, or?
I think it was like, it's crushed shell that was put in, they had to put down some kind of cement thing first. This was several years ago. And then some contractor from the phone company came up and dug the front easement out. So that last 10 feet is now grass, and they ain't putting it back. Just the same as when the city had to fix my sewer. There's a hole in my driveway that's a foot deep that they ain't fixing yet. It's all in the easement.
Okay. And you had to get a permit for the shell construction, or that was?
Larry Snyder did it. Was.
Okay. And do you know when abouts that was? What year you installed that?
Nope.
Okay. And then the remainder of the items that are in the front yard, you said the fence you're repairing on, but you're working on it to get it repaired. And then the remainder of the items, those are things that, like the lawnmower or whatever else is out there, you're just.
It's got a flat tire on it. And I'm replacing both tires on it because they're deteriorated.
And then once you do that, that'll go back.
Then I can move that trailer that's in the front around the back. That tractor really doesn't belong here. It belongs in my house in Tennessee.
Okay.
Because I had to replace the 3 shafts for the blades.
Okay.
Those are done. I put it back on, and then I put air in the tires, and it just blew right back out. So I had to get new tires. So the tires are there, I got to put them on. And the jacks are there so that I can lift it up and work on it. And if you go around, you must have seen it, there's got to be a bench there. One of them was on a picture, had the chair right there, because I have to sit on it, because I can only stand for maybe 10 or 15 minutes. So the table is there, and it's hydraulic. I can raise it up and lower it down so that I can work at it standing or lower it down.
And that stuff, that's temporarily there, but it's not going to be, it doesn't stay there?
It's not permanent. It can be rolled away.
Okay. And do you happen to know how long you are going to be working on these items? Because obviously the city's code requires you to have that all kind of moved out of the way.
Look, I have no idea, because it's destroyed my weed eater, my chainsaws. I did have to get a new lawnmower so that I can cut the grass. Your grass, as a matter of fact, not mine. That's,
Not my grass and not my property.
no, it's the 10.
It's not the
it's
city,
10
I don't own the city either, so.
It's the 10-foot easement that's got the grass growing in it. My grass is slowly coming back, but that's, I have no idea, to be truthful. I have to repair those things. I had to repair the tools so that I could get in them.
And is there any way that when they are sitting on, you're doing this in your driveway, and I know that it's kind of a hassle, but can you move it in while you're not working on it and move it
No.
out when you're working on it?
No, it's
There's
too heavy
nowhere for you to store
too
them?
heavy to do that.
Okay.
And I looked for, quote, a regular table. They want $500 or $600 for those online, but they still don't go to ground level so that I can roll things onto them so that I can lift them up.
That you can put, okay. So then my question to you is, because the city has a right to have the laws followed, right? And right now, I'm asking if there's a time period. You don't have a.
Most of that stuff he's talking about is gone.
Okay.
Now, the motorcycle is covered with a tarp.
But you said it's registered, so that's credible.
Correct, I got pictures of the tags on both of them, and that the tags were bought previous.
Okay.
Like, the motorcycle expires July. it
And
was
it's
bought-
already been renewed.
No, they wouldn't have let me
Won't
renew
let
it.
you.
Believe it or not.
Yeah.
It's registered in Tennessee.
Okay.
And I tried to register it the 1st of June, because that's when they sent the notice out. Then they sent me a notice saying, no, I registered it too soon. I got an email yesterday saying that I am now able to register it. So now I got to start out all over again.
Okay.
And the buses, the motorhome is a permanent, it's not a converted school bus. It is a full-size Bluebird Wonder Lodge, yeah.
Right. So
And
that's fully registered. The only issue I think the city has with that is you're saying that it's already a permitted shell construction drive that it's sitting on.
that's correct.
Properly permitted by the city.
That's correct.
Okay.
And they got to have copies of the darn thing. But they don't do that. They've been on my butt since 1968, so. It's usually the October surprise when they decide to come around and visit me, but they let me go a couple of years without.
Okay. All right. Anything else that you have to say? The city gets the last right of speaking today, so anything else you want to tell me about
No,
this?
I've got nothing else to say.
Okay, thank you. All right, anything further, Mr. Cruz?
Yes, thank you, Special Magistrate. I definitely, it looked like it was on grass, so if it is not, it's something that's permitted, I'll definitely look into that and make sure that that's done properly, so I do apologize if that were to be the case. This property's had multiple violations. It's been back for repeat violations for these same exact type of violations, because it just continues to have stuff in the driveway left there in our code. Specifically, at least I can speak on the grass. He's supposed to maintain the grass all the way up into the right-of-way. I can at least attest to that, as well as the things being in there. If he is tinkering with stuff that is something in our code, you're allowed to do that, but you have to put your stuff away by end of day. It can't sit out there for days and weeks and months, which a lot of that stuff has been. And if I may, I would like to get some type of proof of the registration of these things, if that's a possibility.
Okay.
And maybe that through via email.
Well, I think, Mr., you said you have copies of your registration with you? Okay, you can show them to the code officer, and that way he can see them to verify that.
Madam Special Magistrate,
Yes.
Pete Dewar, Code Enforcement Manager. As Officer Cruz just referenced, And then while it's not before you, Mr. Donovan is very familiar with our process, as he himself mentioned. He's been a repeat violator. The property becomes very unsightly when he is tinkering on the outside of that property and leaving his materials, supplies, and equipment out there. Obviously, Officer Cruz found a violation at the time of the inspection. So the unsightliness of that property and the outdoor storage should in fact be a violation that needs to stop.
Well,
Prohibited.
and I can appreciate that. I'm not here on any repeat violations. These haven't been brought as repeat violations. What I am here on are these particular violations. Based on the evidence that's been presented here today, I'm not going to find that there's any violation of 2311. I think that has to do with having a driveway or off-street parking with regard to the RV. That's just a general construction issue, so I'm not going to find that there's a violation of that. I have evidence to suggest that there was a properly permitted shell construction driveway, and then no refuting of that evidence from the city because you don't have any, you didn't check on the permits or whatnot. So at this point, I'm not going to, I'm not going to have a violate, and I don't even know what section that would fall under, because that would be, I guess, under the 2311.
Yes.
So I'm not going to find that there's a violation of that. I am going to find that there is a violation of the 98-66 for outdoor storage with regards to all of the fencing that was testified as being worked on, as well as all of the automotive equipment, the jacks, the tables, etc. And I am going to allow for 30 days for the respondent to clean that up, and then just notify the city when that's cleaned up. I understand that it's hard to get it back in and get it back out, but you are subjected to the same standards as everybody else in the city. If you can somehow, then your driveway is not the appropriate place to be working on these things, if that's something that can't be complied with.
What is outside storage? Motorcycle allowed to be driving?
I didn't address the motorcycle. The motorcycle is registered. If it's parked in your driveway, the motorcycle is fine.
Well, that's all there is that's out there.
Well, there's evidence of a jack, that lawnmower, the other automotive tires, the other tools, the other equipment that's out there, which may not be out there now, but I don't have any proof of that. I just have these pictures that the city has shown, and then your testimony states some of it's been cleaned up. I just don't know what all has been cleaned up. So as long as that's all cleaned up within the 30 days, then there won't be any fines or fees, assessed with the property. But I am going to do 30 days from the date of my order to have that outdoor storage cleaned up. And then if we need to, we'll be back here on July 14th. If not, then we are good to go. But other than that, and then can I see copies of those registrations? Okay.
And I would like to.
Sure.
Overhead.
I mean, I appreciate your credible testimony. That's enough, but just for verification, you brought it, might as well look at it.
And I just want kind of clarification. You said just 9866 that you're going to find him in violation of?
Of the outdoor storage portion, correct.
Madam Special Magistrate, could we also include 9865?
On what basis?
Property exterior with trash, litter, debris is prohibited?
Litter, debris.
Salvage materials, machinery, equipment, any furniture.
98654?
I don't think those are salvage materials, appliance. I mean, I could see machinery, equipment. I mean, it's,
Some of it may be trash as well.
There's no trash there.
And while you're contemplating that, could we also include 4633?
no. I will include 9865 mostly for the French portions. These pictures do show that there are things on the property. I'm not necessarily,
463312 falls under the same category as unsightly now.
I can understand that.
Or 2, 4633-2.
I mean, those gas containers are not trash, though. I mean, they're part of, maybe see like the hose equipment and the fence. I mean, they're somewhat redundant.
And the reason I kind of expand upon is just because this continues to happen on the property. I just want to make sure that we have it.
And I can understand that, but you've got 4633 and a whole bunch of subsections. Not all of them are applicable. So if I'm going to do this, then I'll do 4633 2. I appreciate Mr. Dewar. Let me make my ruling, please. I'm not going to say 12 because it's not, they're not worn out, scrapped, or dismantled. He's working on it. So until they become that, I'm not going to say 12. I'm not going to say 13 because there's not any storage of junked vehicles. I will say 9865, 1 and 4. Well, actually, not even 1 because there's no structure. Fences and structures,
Yes,
yeah.
ma'am.
So 1 and 4, and then 9866 subsection 3E. I think it's 3E.
Could you also include 24 as well under 98?
Yes, and 24
Thank you.
for the fence. All right, so 30 days in order to comply with that. I will list the specific code sections on there, 30 days from the date of my order, and we will be back here. Hopefully, we won't be back here on July 14th, but if need be, we will be back here on July 14th for a status hearing to figure out where you are in that process, how far we've gotten with cleaning it up, and if any fines or fees need to be assessed at that time.
I would also like to have it written in plain English as opposed to numbers between these two guys trying to get you to rendering up the.
Well, no one's going to get me to do anything, let's be clear. You haven't been here long enough with me sitting here. But I will, the order will detail the exact code sections, and then if you want, I'll spell it out for you.
Bring that down into English is what
I mean, I'm a lawyer. I'll try as best I can, sir.
No, and you've got all these numbers and stuff.
Yes.
I have no idea what those numbers mean.
I'll break out the specific code sections with the verbiage that's in there for you. And again, like I said, we'll come back on July 14th. All right, moving.
What am I allowed to do in my yard too?
That I can't answer for you, sir. You got to consult the city with that to ask specific questions. I'm just here to be the arbitrator of a specific violation. But thank you. And then as long as I have your contact information, you will get a copy of the order. I'll either mail it to you or email it to you, however we have your contact. Okay, perfect. And we've got your email there?
Oh, I'm sorry, I couldn't understand.
We have your email on that sign-in sheet?
They've got it here someplace.
Yeah, if you could just fill that out, that way I can email you a copy of the order. Okay, and then moving on, 5D, case number 20250224, City of St. Pete Beach versus Develop St. Pete LLC.
Thank you, Madam Magistrate. Lewis Cruz again, representing the City of St. Pete Beach Code Enforcement. This is Code Enforcement Case Number 2025-0224. Respondent is Develop St. Pete, LLC. Violation address 8090 Gulf Boulevard. Violation description, the property is in violation of Section 46-33 enumeration. 2, 98-65 unsightly conditions. 4, 98-66 residential and commercial property maintenance. C, 2 and 3 of the Code of Ordinances of the City of St. Pete Beach. Case summary, the initial inspection is 4/11/2025. Notice of violation dated 4/18/2025. Notice of violation compliance date 5/4/2025. Notices of hearing dated and posted on the property 5/14/2025. These are true and accurate representation of what I have witnessed. This is the affidavit of posting at 8090 Gulf Boulevard on May 14th, 2025. And here is the right-of-way of 8090 Gulf Boulevard. Looks like that they had their hurricane debris out there and it was cleaned up, except for the remnants of different pieces of glass, wood, concrete bits and pieces mixed in on the frontage there. Couple different shots of the right-of-way on this property. They do have doors that have been sitting there for quite some time now. I don't know if they were damaged through the storm or what the situation is with the doors in the frontage of the property. There is dead palm fronds and some trash and debris on the front of the property. Same thing in there, dead vegetation, things of that nature. Right there, they have some fencing that's been laying there, as well as more dead vegetation and some trash on the left side of the property frontage. Some trash and what looks to be a piece of dock piling, as well as concrete blocks that are just sitting there on the fence wall. Concrete pavers, excuse me, as well as more dead palm fronds there right by the tree on the right side of the property. And some here right in the front of the property as well. And it looks to be some type of concrete rubble that's sitting there in the sidewalk in the right-of-way. And just a couple different shots of the glass and different type of debris in the right-of-way there on the property. Corrective action: property must clean and remove all trash and debris from the property. The property is not compliant. Recommended fine is $250 per day starting 5/5/2025 until compliant, plus $329 for administrative costs and any lien recording fees that may be associated with this case.
And have you had any communication with a representative of the property owner at all?
No, I have not. There has been no vehicles or anybody to talk to. I did knock on the door, but there was nobody there.
Okay. Anyone here on behalf of Develop St. Pete LLC? The notice, was that sent certified?
Yes, ma'am. Certified to the owner, which is Develop St. Pete LLC, as well as to the registered agent on file with SumBiz.
Okay, and did you receive a signature back at all on that one? No. Okay. All right. Okay, as there's no one here on behalf of the respondent, I am going to find that the property is in violation of the stated code sections. I'm going to allow for, there's not really a ton that needs to be
there's not
cleaned
too
up.
much
So
there.
14 days from the date of my order in order to comply with the city's code. If not, then we will be back here in July to assess fines and fees.
Thank you.
All right, moving right along. 5E, case number 20250139, City of St. Pete Beach versus, oh no, I'm gonna mess this one up. Milad Musapana?
That's right. Good job. Ayaka Rectishel, representing the City of St. Pete Beach Code Enforcement. This is case 20250139. The respondent is Milad Musapana. Apologies for the pronunciation. Violation address 406 72nd Avenue. Violation description: the property is in violations of sections 46-33 enumeration 1B and 98-66 residential and commercial property maintenance A, B, 22A, and B2 of the Code of Ordinance of the City of St. Pete Beach. The case summary: the initial inspection was on February 19th, 2025. A courtesy notice was sent on February 20th, 2025. Notice of violation dated April 7th, 2025. Notice of violation compliance date April 17th of 25. Notice of hearing dated and posted on the property on May 19th, 2025. This is a true and accurate description of what I witnessed. This is the affidavit of posting, posted at the property 406 72nd Avenue on May 19th. This is the property in general. It just has a lot of dead shrubs and overgrown vegetation on the property. As you can see, it's pretty much been abandoned. This was taken on February 19th. A little closer up. Same situation, the two dead shrubs right by the main front door. Property there, everything's overgrown. On the side, there's overgrowth as well. That fence is determined does not belong to that property, actually belongs to the other property, so that was not cited. Again, more pictures of the same unkept landscaping. The later date of the same pictures. No progress at all has been made. No attempts. So the corrective action is the property must maintain the front yard, remove all dead vegetation and debris from the property. The property is not compliant, and the recommended fine is $250 per day, starting from April 18th until compliant, plus $330 for administrative costs and any lien recording fees that may be associated with this case. There's been absolutely no contact with the property owner, and in fact, all our notices have been returned. So based on the property appraiser information, the address was in Arizona. That was all returned. And we went a step further, and I tried to see if we could find, could I have the overhead, please? This is the tax collector's information. So that shows the address as the property address itself.
Zoom in.
Can you zoom in, please? And the taxes were paid as of November last year. So.
Could we zoom in, please?
I have no other address.
I can see it, thank you.
Okay.
Yeah, I don't have any other means of trying to locate this individual.
Okay, and I know it's not part of this, but there was like missing shutters and things on the property as well.
Right, so the house itself, there's nobody in it. It's been abandoned. When I went to go post the notice, the door was actually ajar, and it swelled so much from storm damage, it won't even shut now.
Okay. Okay, but the only violations we're here about right now are just the landscaping,
property.
the shrubs, and, okay. All right. Okay, anyone here on behalf of Milad Musapana?
No.
Anyone here on behalf of the property owner, Milad Musapana? Okay, seeing none, no one. I do find that proper notice was submitted. I will find that there are, the property is in violation of the stated code sections. I am going to allow for 14 days from the date of the order to bring the property into compliance with regard to the dead shrubs and overgrown vegetation on the property and unkept landscaping. And then we will be back here in July to assess any fines and fees should they be non-compliant,
Okay,
which I suspect they may be.
thank you.
Okay, and moving on to case number 202507173, City of St. Pete Beach versus Blind Pass Properties, the third,
Right,
Blind Pass Properties 3, LLC.
yes. Ayaka Ruckshell, representing the City of St. Pete Beach Code Enforcement. This is case 202507173. The respondent is Blind Pass Properties, the third LLC. Violation address is 420 77th Avenue. Violation description, the property is in violation of Section 98-64, General Maintenance. A, 98-65, Unsightly Conditions. 4, 98-66, Residential and Commercial Property Maintenance. C, 2 and 3, and 98-66, Residential and Commercial Property Maintenance. A, B, 20, 22A, and B, and 2 of the Code of Ordinances of the City of St. Pete Beach. The case summary, the initial inspection was March 15th, 2025. Courtesy notice sent on March 17th, 2025. The notice of violation dated April 7th, 2025. The compliance date for the violation was April 17th, 2025. Notice of hearing was dated and posted on the property May 19th, 2025. This is a true and accurate description of what I've witnessed. The affidavit of posting for the property on 420 77th Avenue on May 19th. And again, overgrown vegetation and debris on the property throughout the front and the sides. You can see. There's some, looks like a piece of furniture or something off on the side there. From a different angle. Later on. This is one of the latest photos from May 9th. There was a vehicle parked in there, but there was nobody at the property. Don't know whose vehicle that was. So the corrective action, the property must maintain the front yard, remove all dead vegetation and debris from the property. The property is not compliant. The recommended fine is $250 per day, starting from April 18th, 2025, until compliant, plus $330 for administrative costs and any lien recording fees that may be associated with this case. So the property owner, Jack Buns, I did speak to him actually on April 8th, and he told me at that time that he intended to demolish the property. So I advised him then he needed to apply for a demolition permit, and that actually didn't take place until May 29th.
The applying for the permit or the receipt of the permit?
Just applying for the permit. As of today, it is under review, and planning and zoning still has to do the review, and then there'll have to be a site inspection done on site. So at this point, we would be seeking no fines, but probably only administrative costs.
So are we considering the property to be in compliant then at this time?
Well, it's going to be demolished, so.
I understand, but if it's currently considered non-compliant, then I can't, and I have to give a certain amount of time in order, under Chapter 162, in order to allow the property to come into compliance, either by demoing it or by cleaning up the property as it is.
Okay, so if their intention is to demolish and they've applied for a thing, there's no expectation for them to clean it up. Just they need to obtain the demolition permit in a timely fashion, so it's under review at the moment.
Do we have any idea how long those permits, I mean, it's a demo permit, so I can't imagine it takes too much time to review that, but do you know if it's just a demo permit or it's in conjunction with?
As far as I know, it's just a demolition permit.
Okay. Anyone here on behalf of the property owner, Blind Pass Properties 3? Okay, if you could please come. I figured somebody was here on behalf of them, so I would ask my questions. If you could please state your name and affiliation with the property owner.
Jack Buns with Blind Pass Properties 3. Yeah, we're just waiting for the permit. My contractor is here today. It was applied for a week ago, and I know he's been back and forth with the city. That's all we need is a permit. Didn't realize that this thing would take as long as it did. I started back in March, took 6 weeks just to get a survey on the property.
Okay. Yeah, I was going to ask.
Then we got Florida Power out there. They've disconnected all the electric, and it just takes time, and unfortunately, time goes by.
City going back and forth. I was getting told so many different things to try to get the permit pulled. One person, I'm talking to Brandon Berry's up there. We're done now. We have a permit number, but not an actual
Not been approved.
We have it any day. Within 2 days, we'll have the whole place raked.
Okay, and so it is just for demo, not for new construction at this point?
That's correct.
Okay. Okay, anything further that you'd like me to know?
I don't think so.
And I'm sorry, you're the contractor, what was your name?
Bill Mazewski.
Okey-dokey. All right, if you have nothing further, anything further from the city? Okay. So I am going to find that the property is in violation of the stated code sections. However, I am going to allow for, and you said it's already applied for, so 30 days should be sufficient time to secure that permit. So
And we're ready to go within a week of the
Okay.
permit.
So 30 days from the date of my order in order to secure the permit to demo the property. And then if that doesn't occur, we'll see you back here on July 14th, but it sounds like you guys are ready to move on and move forward, so hopefully I won't see you. And then I've got your contact information, so I will send you a written order to that effect. That way you have some for your records. Thank you. Okay, and that's it.
Yes, ma'am.
That went faster than I thought it was going to go.
All right.
Okay, so then the next meeting is on July 14th, and I will see you all here at 10 a.m.
Yes, ma'am. Thank you.
Thank
Have a
you.
good day.